So if I'm tweeting something, and I do have an example actually, it's on the next slide, so I'm going to just jump to that and it might just sort of clarify a little bit. What it does is it links you to other people that are tweeting the same thing. So if I were to type "Great match Germany," it doesn't really mean an awful lot. We don't know whether I'm playing table tennis. It doesn't know if I've created a new breed of matchstick. It doesn't really give me much clue. But if I were to type "Great match Germany" hashtag FIFA, then it would be stored with all the other FIFA tweets that were coming out. So it would be very clear that the topic that we were discussing was the FIFA World Cup. So that's where the hashtag comes in really valuable. It gives some real context. I'm going to just jump to the next slide and give you an example of something that I saw recently. I was trying to look for how some hashtags actually got some traction. So excuse me a moment. Okay. If we look down to that very lower example there, you can see that I've put in a tweet, which is one that I did actually take from the web. And you can see it's got macarons and yum yum are both hashtagged. And so that means that this particular tweet, if you were to go onto Twitter and search macarons, you'd find this tweet. And if you were to search yum yum, you'd find this tweet. It's quite an old tweet, so it may not be there now, but I'm going to talk a little bit soon about why this particular tweet's important. But I just want to show you hashtag what it looked like. So anyone in the world that had Twitter that was putting hashtag macarons would all get saved into the same macaron filing cabinet, if that makes sense. And also anyone that was searching for yum yum, this particular tweet would be in there in the yum yum filing cabinet department. On Twitter, we always have another area which is called trends. And what the trends are what most people are talking about at any given time. So on your Twitter account, you can set your trends to your own geographical location. So it could be New South Wales, it could be Australia, it could be worldwide. It's whatever you want to see. And what that does there is it tabulates all the tweets that are coming in around that geography. So what generally things are set up to the worldwide trends. So if there's hundreds of millions of hashtags going to FIFA, then FIFA would be the top trend. That would mean that worldwide, that's what most people were tweeting about. And what people I know often do is that's where they find their news. They have a look down the trends list and see what's making the trend news at the time. The next little note I've got there for connecting is direct messaging. So Twitter has a direct messaging function. My children use this all the time. They seem to have gone beyond, certainly don't email, that's very old school. Certainly don't telephone, imagine that. But they use the direct messaging function of Twitter quite a lot. So with direct messaging, you can only direct message with someone that you're linked to, that you're following with Twitter. And that's just like sending text messages, except it's free through the Twitter system. So you often see people say, just DM me with your phone number. And that's what their meaning is, that's a direct messaging function, which is quite a nice one as well. You can link your Twitter and your Facebook together. That is something that a lot of people do, because then you're only needing to post once, and you post it on either one and it should translate over to the other. But they're different companies, they've got their different systems. If you have a hashtag on Twitter, you'll have to find that in the Twitter hashtags. You may use the same one in Facebook, but they're not actually linked together as it were, but they may be the same ones. What I'm meaning is that you can, in the preferences in Twitter, you can set it up so that anything you post to Twitter will go to your own personal Facebook account. So if you have a Facebook account and you have a Twitter account, you can link them together so that when you post to one, it automatically posts it on the other as well. So you don't necessarily need to go into both things if you're trying to send the message out. So if you're at your kiosk, for example, and your kiosk has a Facebook account and a Twitter account, and you're wanting to post that there's a session on internet security this week, you don't necessarily need to go into Twitter and post it and then log into Facebook and post it. You can just do it so you log into Twitter, post it, and it will automatically appear on your other sites like Facebook. So it just is kind of a nice little time saver rather than going in twice. Okay, I just wanted to talk now a little bit about how we can share through Twitter, where some of the values are in terms of sharing and networking. Something I just love is the use of Twitter now at conferences. Most conferences you go to have a hashtag similar to our BBFS. It can be whatever the conference chooses to use. And I just love it, and I find that I almost get as much value sitting and looking through the Twitter feed as I am listening to the speaker as well, because it really enriches the conversation. It's generally something that's not abused in a conference situation, but it's really great to see. It's great to see people's take on what the speakers are saying, and sometimes they're posing questions, but it's usually people's impressions. And I really like that. For me, it really gives a lot of rich depth to a conference is when you're seeing what's also happening through the hashtag. I've become a little bit of a this is a very confessional session today, isn't it? I've become a little bit of a Q&A junkie on the hashtag. I like to watch Q&A, but I really enjoy watching the conversation that's going on through the hashtag. So for any of you that are familiar with Q&A, there's a hashtag every week that's just hashtag Q&A, and you can get the sense of what the audience at home as well as the audience in the studio are thinking about some of the questions that come up. So whereas in the hour and a half of Q&A there's obviously only a few questions they can get to, it's really great to see that extra sort of richness that we had. Getting in on the conversation will just sort of gently slide off Q&A, but it's something that organisations are using a lot now in terms of market research. You've probably seen a lot of television, TV shows that are using hashtags to encourage you to get in the conversation, similar to Q&A. But here goes my confessional again. My other guilty pleasure, I'm going to admit to, is Survivor. Okay, I love it. What they encourage you to do on shows like Survivor is to join into the conversation as the show's going. What is happening there is that the television networks are getting a real sense of who their viewership is. Getting a sense of who the viewership is, so they're able to sort of move the process of the program along as well. So you often hear with television shows, the comment of getting on the conversation, and that's using the use of hashtags to try and bring people to be talking about that TV show, which sort of adds, as I say, an element of richness to what you're viewing as well. Okay, the next little point I had there is including others in your conversation. And that's sort of where I wanted really to use this little example I've got at the bottom. This is a real tweet, and because I was trying to find something that would explain how we can use various functions of Twitter for a variety of things. So this particular tweet came from a bakery. It was called Joe's Bakery. And when I went back to look at the profile on the Twitter, it's a bakery in the inner suburbs of Sydney. So what the person has done here, Joe, I assume, what Joe's done is they must have spotted Matt Preston, who is the guy from MasterChef, who was eating at Adriana Zumbo, who is, I think he must be a baker or a confectioner. I know he's very famous for macarons. Must have spotted him, or I know he's got his own bakery in the Star Casino in Sydney. So what this person's done is a couple of things. What they've done is included Matt Preston into the link. They've included Adriana Zumbo into the link, and they've included Star Casino into the link. So they've included them by bringing in their particular Twitter address, so that each of those three organisations or people are going to get a notification that someone has tweeted about them. Someone that's got a lot of followers tends to maybe not follow that so much because they tend to get a lot of them. But I don't know how many followers Matt Preston's got. I imagine he's got a fair few. I imagine Adriana Zumbo maybe not so much. but they would get notification to say that Joe's Bakery had included them in this tweet. What happened next here is Matt Preston replied to Joe's Bakery saying, "I'd love to, let me know where you are." So from Joe's Bakery, who had, I think when I had a look at it, had about 10 followers, Matt Preston replying to that went out to his 1 million followers. So all of a sudden Joe's Bakery is on the list of everyone that subscribes to listen to what Matt Preston's got to say. What also happened is Star Casino and Adriana Zumbo both retweeted that tweet. So we're getting into the realms of all sorts of mathematical issues here. So Matt Preston's went out to his 1 million followers, Adriana Zumbo's went out to his however many followers, and Star Casino's got a fair amount of followers too. So what we've now got is a very, very wide tweet advertising Joe's Bakery, which is absolutely fabulous results. The other thing is that all of those, what we've probably got about 2 million people now, are all tuned into this hashtag macarons and yum yum. So that Joe's Bakery just nabbed themselves just a fantastic marketing opportunity by using a very, very cleverly placed series of tweets. And I have to imagine that they did that on purpose. But it was, yeah, really nicely tying into people when you don't have a lot of followers and you're trying to get a message out there by tagging into people that do, showing support for them. It can really start to enhance your own opportunity, which is a really positive way of using Twitter to be able to do that. And if it was something negative, then the people concerned wouldn't have retweeted anyway. So Zumbo's getting something valuable out of it because he's linked to Matt Preston now. Star Casino's loving it because they're promoting both Matt Preston and Zumbo. Joe's Bakery sitting in the background thinking, fantastic, loads of people, including everyone today in our Broadband for Seniors webinar, all know about Joe's Bakery, except sadly I can't tell you where it is.